Good morning, everybody. This is Algebra 2, video number 5. This goes with quarter 4, quiz number 6. We will only have one quiz this week. It's going to be 10 questions, and it'll have some of the old stuff, but mostly the new stuff that we're going to learn today. Today, we're going to learn how to verify trigonometric identities. And the way you do that, here's the key to it. You get the left side of the equal sign to equal the right side of the equal sign. And I'll show you what that means. So the identities you're going to use are going to be primarily the Pythagorean identities on the top of your identity sheet like we've been doing. So the first example, we have cotangent theta times tangent theta equals 1. Now when you're working these problems, you don't have to write the thetas. And a lot of times I'll leave them out, but you can put them back in the end. So our goal with all of these problems today is to make the left side equal the right side, and that verifies the identity. This one you can kind of see right off the bat. These are two opposites. They're going to equal 1, but I'm going to put the steps in. So cotangent is cosine over sine. Tangent, sine over cosine. You can see that we got a bunch of canceling that's going to go on. These sines are going to cancel. The cosines are going to cancel. When everything is canceled, we know that all that's left is a 1. Once you get the left side to equal the right side, you're done. You have verified it. I'll show you another one. So the next example, we have 1 minus sine squared. Now I'm not even going to put the theta in there, but you know there's a theta right there. Over cosine equals cosine. Our objective is to make this side look like that side. Now I could factor 1 minus sine squared and make it 1 minus sine times 1 plus sine, but I also could do this. And this is something we've done on the other examples. 1 minus sine squared, if you use the Pythagorean identity, is the same as cosine squared. So 1 minus sine squared turned to cosine squared. And then this cosine is the cosine I already had. So if I have two cosines on top of one cosine, one of them cancels, and I just get a cosine. Now the left side equals the right side. Let me show you, just in case you don't understand, how I made 1 minus sine squared into cosine squared. What I did, just so you know, the identity is sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, and that's on your identity sheet. So I just subtracted the sine squared from the other side of the original identity, and you get 1 minus sine squared. I can take that 1 minus sine squared out of any equation, like I just did, and see, I can put a cosine squared. That is one of the main things you do with identities, is you can rewrite them so they look like what's in your equation, and you can use them to replace things. Here's another example. Tangent theta, but I'm not going to put the theta again, equals, whoops, not that. Tangent times 1 minus sine squared equals sine cosine. Okay, so we're going to make the left-hand side look like the right-hand side. We're going to make it be sine cosine. Here's that 1 minus sine squared again. I'm going to replace it again. So I got tangent, this is going to be cosine squared. So I took the 1 minus sine squared out, and I put a cosine squared in its place. And now I'm going to change them to sines and cosines. So tangent is sine over cosine times cosine squared, and I can put a 1 under this cosine squared. So now I have two cosines on top, I have 1 on bottom. One of these cancels with this one, and then all that's left is a sine, and this cosine canceled with this cosine, and I have a cosine. And now I can see that the left-hand side equals the right-hand side. And if you can make that happen, you're finished. One last example, and this video will be completed. Remember, there's only one assignment this week for you to practice these. So the last example, and I hope you watch it because it's a little bit different, we have cosine squared on top of 1 minus sine. We're supposed to make that equal 1 plus sine. The reason I hope you watch this one is because we're going to take a little different approach. Cosine squared we're going to replace using the Pythagorean identity like we just did. We're going to take the cosine squared out and put in a 1 minus sine squared. So I'm going to put a 1 minus sine squared. So that cosine squared, using the Pythagorean identity, became 1 minus sine squared. Now remember, you can't cancel parts of fractions. Like I can't cancel these signs out, I can't cancel the ones out, nothing like that. But this factors. If I take the 1 minus sine squared and I change it to 1 minus sine times 1 plus sine, it's a difference of squares. And then on the bottom, I have my 1 minus sine. Now, so I took this and I factored it into this. Now I have a 1 minus sine on the top and a 1 minus sine on the bottom, and they go. And look what happens. I have 1 minus sine, 1 plus sine equals 1 plus sine. I made the left look like the right, and I did it. And we are done with this video for today. Thank you very much.